Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you today. This is a topic I've been thinking for a long time, but if I were not to discuss the topic, it's kind of like just in my mind, but not well organized. So sharing the talk kind of make me to concentrate and to put things together that would make sense, not only for myself, hopefully for everyone. And this is kind of a little bit abstract, so I try to put some interesting pictures. I hope it's interesting for you. I will start with broad two categories of time. One that we are more familiar with, the Western view of history that's more linear. We have history, location, linear history, another. So I will have these categories like from linear perspective, history, location, profane, and becoming. Whereas many traditional societies look at history as cyclical, from cosmos, place, sacred, being perspective. So I'll explain each in some details. Next page. So this is a kind of more visual way of showing how the linear perspective of history versus a cyclical view of time. When we say linear, we have kind of historical, like from Big Bang, billions of years ago, and from our evolutionary point of view, how human beings come into being through millions of years. There is a progression. Whereas from a cyclical point of view, like the trees, flowers, even humans, we have different seasons, we have different growth, and we may or may not really die. We come back. So I will talk about this later. So here is another summary of this, the two perspectives of time. In linear time, it's past, present, and future, very clear, right? Historical time. And I will give an example of our time change. We say fall back and spring forward when we have time change. This cyclical time, we see life cycles of plants and people, nature, and the seasons. So when we do time change, we tend to, most people think when we have fall back, we gain an hour, right? And spring forward, we lose an hour. And it was very difficult. It's kind of difficult for me to think that way. I always thought we only have 24 hours. We never gain, we never lose. Even if you gain today, tomorrow you lose an hour, right? So it's the cyclical view of time. We always have 24 hours. Whereas kind of linear way, like, oh, today I gain an hour. So for me, it was kind of hard to kind of think like, why do you say we gain an hour? We still have 24 hours. So in order to be not too abstract, I put some beautiful pictures to illustrate. This the picture for me on the left. Can you see it's sunset or sunrise? What do you think? I know, Margaret knows. We went to Scott Mountain in Oklahoma camping, and we took a lot of beautiful pictures in Scott Mountain, Mount Scott or Scott Mountain. So when you look at it, it's sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Sunrise, sunset,
Sunset.
sunset, sunset. Could be either one. Okay, so it's sunset. It's sunset. So Scott Mountain is in Wichita Wildlife Refuge, very close to that wildlife park. And the other picture, of course, is beautiful poppy flowers. So it can be, if you look at time as linear, you can think in terms of sunrise, sunset, 24 hours. When you think as cyclical, it just today, if sunset, and sun is going to rise again. For billions of years on Earth, we always have this cyclical seasons and days, 24 hours come and go. And flowers, when you look at this flower, it's blossom, but a few days ago, it was probably like budding. After a few days, it might die. So from linear point, that you have the flower that has a life cycle, maybe only for 2 or 3 weeks. But on the other hand, Tina Han says, when you look at the flower, it contains the totality of past, present, and the future, contains the whole universe. When you look at this blossom, you can kind of imagine before it's like this blossoming, it was a seed, it grows, and then it becomes like a full bloom. But even if it dies, it becomes compost, and it nourishes the earth, and then it helps the other plants and flowers to grow. So it never really dies. It just is a cycle of life. Not only cycle of life, it also cannot exist without the sun, the soil, the air, everything else. So in a way, it contains the whole universe. So that's more a cyclical view of life. So next is this time in historical time versus cosmos time, which means one is linear, like history, we have progress, we have winners and losers, and it's a limited time frame. Whereas the cosmos time, there's no beginning, no ending. If you look at universe, it might be billions of years, and we really don't know how old. There's no winners and losers, and it's unlimited time and a frame. I'm going to show you this poem my daughter wrote when she was 9 years old. And I have the original to prove that it's authentic, that she dated. She dated as 2001, and she was born in 1992. And it still amazes me that the way that she wrote this poem. She said, I need to stop. I have seen the end of infinity. It took me eternity to get there. I have seen the end of the end, and soon you will see it too. I can see the future, mysterious as the present. be aware of the future, though regardless of the past. I asked her, why did you write this? What do you want to say? She says, I don't remember I wrote this. But do you want to take a look of Sarah? I just, she was 9. So the time that she describes as this cost, what I showed before, the I want to be history and cosmos, right? So she is actually describing a time in the universal time, cosmological time. I don't know why and how she came up with these ideas. She was 9 and she was using the terms of infinity and trinity together. And the other picture I have of her, she was actually, let's see, she was having a perfect meditation pose, right? So that was when she was about 4 or 5. For a couple of years, she was in a daycare of International Buddhist Society that they had daycare in Richardson. So she was kind of exposed to, but I think she was posing for the picture. She didn't really do meditation. I also took her to a Unitarian church, and a little story about the way that why she would write. When she was like 5, 6 years old, she started to learn reading and writing, and she doesn't like to go to sleep. So if I say 9 o'clock, time to go to bed, she would say, no, I don't want to go to bed. And I would say, what do you want to do? She would say, I want to watch TV. No TV. Then I'll study. She knows, like, if she says she wants to study, I'll say yes. Okay. She'll say, I'll study. And I say, what do you study? She says, I want to draw. And I would say, drawing is too easy. You have to read and write. You can read or write either in Chinese or English, you choose. So she would, like, in order not to sleep, she would read and write. So she started to read and write very early. At that time, like, there's no iPad, no cell phone. Today, it would be harder to reinforce kids, but at that time, they were just books, paper, and writing and reading. Time, location versus place. So the difference between location and place is, one, location is personal space, or we can national interests, limited and scarce. Place is communal, global interest, and unlimited and abundant. It's easier for most of us to think at personal level, national level. That's what we hear. I'm not going to say too much about politics, but it's very familiar, like, to make America great again. And China says, to make China great again. Every country wants to make their own country great again, right? So that's kind of national. It's easier to think about me, my nation, and we have limited resources. We want to fight for our benefits, right? But if we can think beyond the limited space, location, we think about communal space like we're having here, and the global interests, and how abundant the universe is available for all of us, then we'll be less feeling inadequacy and fighting. So that's a picture of our place. The location versus universe and cosmos. Time in terms of sacred versus profane. The profane is an ordinary time, mundane life, utilitarian. Every day we have to get up, wash, getting ready to work, cooking, doing chores, right? It's very mundane and utilitarian, something that we have to do. But we also have a sacred space, like here. One reason I think many of us like to come to Dallas Meditation Center is because we want to move from profane, ordinary, to a place of reverence and awe. So we have feeling a separateness from our ordinary and a mundane space and come to this sacred with reverence or in a ritual. We do have rituals of these chanting and a bell, and that makes it kind of a sacred place when we have rituals. So I have this picture of saying this, for some people, nature can be sacred, right? It doesn't have to be a temple, worship place. When you go to beautiful nature, you feel like nature, a sense of awe and a wonder in front of nature that moves you from mundane to sacred. Some of you were here when Ashley Wilkinson was here, and she gave a wonderful talk, and she wrote this poems about reverence. So I feel like coming here and listening to talks, and it kind of set us apart from everyday, mundane, utilitarian kind of lifestyle. But it doesn't have to be at this place to feel reverence or awe. It can be any place, especially in nature. And Thich Nhat Hanh also teaches us you can make your home, your eating, your cooking, your walking, everything, driving, being mindful and being sacred as well. That's harder for most of us, but it's possible. Time in terms of being and becoming. So in terms of being, we have present moment, which is solid, and we have a sense of identity. I'm defined by being having a name, having a gender, having an occupation, family. That's the being part. But we are always constantly becoming, and we are changing, and we always talk about impermanence. With change and impermanence, there's always potential for development and potential for change. So I'll give you two fun pictures of being and becoming. My daughter and I, when my daughter were like 4 or 5 years old, and we had cat, and we were pretending to be cat. And then that was last year, we were in Barcelona, and she was becoming, she's 32 now, right? She's still in line, but now she, everyone changes, and we change and we grow. So the almost last slide, I want to bring back to Thich Nhat Hanh's teachings on presence and mindfulness. One of the key concepts in our practice is impermanence. Impermanence sometimes can be a challenge, but it also is, we appreciate impermanence, because with impermanence, we have potential for change, for making progress, and deeper appreciation of life. And Tanahan also talk about non-self in terms of impermanence. When we think about self, it's kind of that as being like identity, not changing, but actually we are constantly changing. There's like in our biology, we change in terms of our cells, and in terms of physical and mentally, everything constantly change. So there's not a constant self. Self is either being in a process of changing or in terms of relationship, instead of like just unchanging self, staying the same. Mindfulness, we practice mindfulness, mindful breathing. We just did mindful walking and meditation. Mindfulness can help us transforming emotions. If you were agitated, and after doing the meditation, hopefully we became calmer, peaceful. And I also listed nirvana as it's an interesting status of being. And Tanahan says nirvana is not in the future, it's here and now. It's interbeing, and when we are fully present and mindful, it can be right here and now. And he also said, if nirvana is only a concept, then you should burn the concept. It's not a concept, it's a status of being that you can achieve right here and now. So in order to give you more direct sense of these concepts from teachings from Tanahan, I have 3 quotations. One is impermanence. It is not impermanence that makes us suffer. What makes us suffer is wanting things to be permanent when they are not. And that's sometimes when we say non-attachment, because things are can always change. If you want to hold on things that does not stay the same, then you suffer. Mindfulness, the miracle is not walk on water. The miracle is to walk on the green earth, dwelling deeply in the present moment and feeling truly alive. So if we are feeling mindful and truly alive and enjoying the present, we can be set in this status of nirvana. We are here in nirvana already, right? The only problem is that we are not able to return to it whenever we want to. So the last 2 pictures, last time I mentioned, one of my students wrote on a pistachio, the shell of pistachio, 4 Chinese characters, 李老师好, which means hello, teacher Li, and then with a heart. And the other student drew a year of tiger, and these were not they were not my best students, but they are very artistic, and they did it like, I don't know, in a few minutes, and they were very talented. So I want to say time is both linear and cyclical. Linear, there was a time that they did wrote this, drew this picture for about 4 years ago, but I'm still like enjoying their work. So it's not like just linear and it's past. It stays whenever I want to think about this and to appreciate what they're trying to express. Recently, I read a quotation from Carl Jung that says, "The world into which we are born is brutal and cruel, at the same time of divine beauty." I think it's very profound because our life, and in terms of time and existence, full of paradoxes, and ability to appreciate and to hold paradoxical ideas, I think is the level of maturity. Sometimes some people can only see the world black and white. But to go beyond black and white and be able to appreciate paradoxes and appreciate the paradoxes of time and existence is a level of maturity. So that's the end of my presentation, and there are some questions, guided questions. You don't have to stick to these questions.